me, for the first time in 4 years, I laughed. Really laughed. I met Rachel when I was 23. We were both broke art students at RISD, living off ramen and dreams. She had this infectious energy, always the first one to suggest staying up until 3 a.m. working on a project, the first one to buy cheap wine when someone needed cheering up. We'd sit in her tiny studio apartment, surrounded by half-finished paintings and turpentine fumes, talking about the gallery we'd open together someday. That someday came faster than we expected. My grandmother passed when I was 25, and she left me something I didn't know existed, a small inheritance. Not millions, but enough. Enough to lease a space in Brooklyn. Enough to take a chance. Rachel and I sat in that empty gallery space on our first day, paint-stained floors echoing with possibility. We called it Meridian. She'd handle the business side, the clients, the schmoozing at openings. I'd curate, discover new artists, build the reputation. 50-50 partners. Best friends building something beautiful. The first year was brutal. We nearly went under twice. I remember one particularly desperate night when we had $847 in the business account and rent was $3,200. Rachel looked at me across a bottle of bottom-shelf vodka and said, "We're either the stupidest people alive or we're about to prove everyone wrong." We proved them wrong. By year 3, Meridian was the place in Brooklyn. We discovered a street artist named Jules Mora who went on to show at the Whitney. We represented a sculptor whose work sold to a tech billionaire for 6 figures. The Times did a piece on us. 2 young women reshaping New York's art scene. I should have seen it then. The way Rachel's smile looked different in the photos. Tighter. The way she'd started saying I instead of we in interviews. But I was too busy. Too trusting. Too stupid. Marcus Chen came into our lives in year 4, commercial real estate developer, old money, the kind of guy who wore $1,000 sneakers, ironically. He wanted us to curate the art for his new luxury development in Tribeca, 6-figure contract, our biggest deal yet. Rachel handled the negotiations. She always did. She was better with people, she said, more charismatic. I believed her. Marcus started coming around more. Just checking on the project, he'd say. But his eyes would linger on Rachel a little too long. She'd laugh at his jokes a little too hard. I told myself I was being paranoid. Jealous, maybe, that she was making these big connections while I was in the back room cataloging inventory. My boyfriend at the time, David, mentioned it once. "Is there something going on with Rachel and that developer guy?" I'd snapped at him. "She's my best friend, my business partner. Don't be ridiculous." David broke up with me 2 months later. Said I was married to the gallery, not present in the relationship. He wasn't wrong. The night I found out, I'd come back to the gallery late. I'd forgotten my laptop, needed it for a grant application I was writing. It was past 10 p.m., lights off, door locked. I had my key. I heard them before I saw them. In my office. Rachel's voice breathy and urgent. Marcus responding with words I couldn't quite make out. I stood there in the dark hallway for what felt like hours but was probably 30 seconds. Then I turned around and left. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my apartment, staring at my laptop screen, not seeing anything. Part of me wanted to believe I'd misunderstood. Maybe they were just talking. Maybe it was innocent. But I knew Rachel's voice. I'd known it for 7 years, and that wasn't the voice of someone having an innocent conversation. I came in early the next morning, waited. Rachel arrived at 9:30, coffee in hand, same as always. She smiled at me. "Morning! You're here early. We need to talk." Her smile faltered. "Just for a second. Sure, what's up?" "How long?" She didn't pretend not to understand. I'll give her that much. She set down her coffee, careful, deliberate. 6 months. 6 months. While I'd been writing grants, courting artists, working 70-hour weeks to build our dream. "He wants to invest," she said. Not an apology, a justification. Marcus sees the potential. He wants to help us expand, open a second location, maybe Miami. "He wants to invest," I repeated, my voice sounding strange in my own ears. "And you're sleeping with him." "It's not like that." Classic line. I have feelings for him, real feelings. And yes, he's interested in the business, but that's separate. "Does he know you have a partner?" Rachel's jaw tightened. "He knows. He's met you." "Does he know it's 50-50? Silence. Rachel, does he know we're equal partners? I told him I was the majority owner, she said quietly, that you were more of an employee, creative director. The floor tilted. What? Listen, you're incredible at what you do, the curation, the artist relationships. But I built the business side. I got us the contracts, the investors, the press. It made sense to position it that way. It made sense, I said slowly, to erase me. I'm not erasing you. But Marcus wants to invest big money. He needs to know he's working with someone who can scale, someone with vision beyond just pretty paintings. That's when I knew. It wasn't just an affair, it was a takeover. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched my best friend systematically betray me. Marcus's lawyers sent over investment documents that valued Rachel's sweat equity and business development at 70% ownership. My contributions as creative services were valued at 30%. Our original partnership agreement said 50-50. But Rachel had a new lawyer now, one Marcus recommended, and he found loopholes I didn't know existed. My lawyer, Sarah, was a family friend who'd done the original paperwork. She was good, but she was a solo practitioner competing against a firm with 40 partners and unlimited resources. You need to fight this, Sarah said, papers spread across her desk. We can fight this. The original agreement is clear. How long will it take? In court? 2 years, maybe 3? $60,000 in legal fees, minimum. I didn't have $60,000. I'd put everything into Meridian. My inheritance, my savings, my life. What if I don't fight? I asked. Sarah looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Then you lose everything. The gallery you built, your reputation. Rachel and Marcus will own Meridian, and you'll walk away with nothing. Not nothing, I said quietly. I'd walk away. Here's what happened next. Marcus made an offer. He'd buy me out. $75,000 for my 30% interest. The gallery was worth at least $2 million. He was offering me 3% of its value. Rachel called it generous, said I should be grateful they were offering anything. Everyone told me to fight. Sarah begged me to fight. My parents flew up from Virginia and told me to fight. Other artists we represented, people who knew what I'd built, said fight. I looked at the papers. Looked at Rachel, who I'd known since we were kids with paint under our fingernails and stars in our eyes. Looked at Marcus with his smug smile and $1,000 sneakers. And I said, fine, I'll take it. The room went silent. You'll what? Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. I'll take the $75,000. I want out by the end of the month. Rachel tried to hide her smile. Marcus didn't bother. They thought I'd broken. Thought 4 years of friendship and partnership meant so little that I'd just walk away for peanuts. Sarah pulled me aside. This is insane. You're letting them steal from you. I know what I'm doing, I said. I didn't tell her that for the past 2 weeks. While Rachel and Marcus were busy with their lawyers and their victory plans, I'd been making some calls of my own. See, here's what Rachel forgot about me. I was the one who discovered the artists. I was the one who built the relationships. I was the one they trusted. Jules Mora, our star artist, the one whose Whitney show had put Meridian on the map, she called me the week after I found out about Rachel and Marcus. Something feels off, Jules said. Rachel's been weird lately, pushy, talking about commercial opportunities and brand partnerships. That's not why I signed with you guys. It's not why I started this either, I'd said quietly. What's going on? So I told her, not everything, just enough. What are you going to do? Jules asked. I'm not sure yet. But Jules, when your contract comes up for renewal in 2 months, maybe wait to sign anything? There was a pause. Then, yeah, I think I'll wait. I had that same conversation, in various forms, with 12 other artists over those 2 weeks. Artists who'd been unknowns when I found them, who I'd championed when no one else would. Artists whose work now sold for real money. I didn't tell them to leave Meridian. I didn't badmouth Rachel. I just told them the truth. I was leaving, and I wanted them to know before they heard it from someone else. Funny thing about artists, they're loyal to people, not galleries. The buyout went through. $75,000 deposited in my account. I signed everything. Walked out of Meridian on a Tuesday afternoon with a single box of personal items. Rachel hugged me. Actually hugged me. I hope there's no hard feelings, she said. You're so talented. You'll land on your feet. Marcus shook my hand. Smart choice. Sometimes you have to know when to fold. I smiled. Sometimes you do. That was 3 months ago. Last week, my phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Emma? A man's voice. Uncertain. Yes? This is Richard Castellano, Marcus Chen's lawyer. We need to talk. I let the silence stretch. It's about Meridian Gallery. We have a situation. What kind of situation? 14 of your artists. Their contracts expired, and they're not renewing. They're all saying the same thing. They want to work with you, not the gallery, you. I looked out my window at the new space I'd leased in Long Island City, smaller than Meridian, cheaper rent, but mine, all mine. That's unfortunate, I said. Miss Emma, those artists represent 80% of Meridian's current revenue. Without them, the gallery is just an empty room in Brooklyn, I finished. Yes, I imagine that's quite a problem. Marcus invested $1.2 million. He's threatening to sue Rachel for misrepresentation. She told him she had relationships with the artists, that they were loyal to the gallery. They were loyal to the gallery, I said. They just weren't loyal to her. Another pause. What do you want? Excuse me? To make this go away. What do you want? Money? A partnership? Marcus is willing to negotiate. I thought about the hours I'd spent in Jules Mora's studio when she was sleeping on a friend's couch, encouraging her to keep painting. About the day I'd found Michael Song creating sculptures out of trash behind a restaurant and saw genius where everyone else saw garbage. About the night I'd stayed up until 4 a.m. helping Priya Kapoor prepare for her first show, the one that launched her career. Tell Marcus, I said slowly, that some things aren't for sale. Tell Rachel. Tell Rachel I hope the sweat equity was worth it. I hung up. My phone buzzed 30 seconds later. Rachel. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message. I listened to it once. Emma, please. We need to talk. This is crazy. You can't just steal our artists. That's unethical. That's betrayal. I deleted it. Sarah called me that afternoon. Did Richard Castellano contact you? He did. And I told him no. I could hear her smile through the phone. When did you plan this? The day I signed the buyout papers, I said. I knew the artist contracts were coming up. I knew they'd follow me if I gave them somewhere to go. I just needed time to set it up quietly. So you let them think you'd given up. I let them think I was weak, I corrected. There's a difference. What's your gallery called? I looked at the sign leaning against my wall, waiting to be hung. Simple, clean, honest. Silent Meridian, I said, because I'm done making noise for people who don't listen. The artists moved their work over the next month. Jules Mora, Michael Song, Priya Kapoor, all of them. We had our opening last weekend. Small, intimate. The people who mattered were there. The Times sent the same journalist who'd written about Rachel and me 4 years ago. She remembered me. Asked what happened. Sometimes partnerships run their course, I said. Sometimes you realize you want different things. Sources say Rachel's gallery is closing. That Marcus Chen pulled his investment. That's unfortunate. Is it true you took all the artists? I didn't take anyone, I said. They chose to come. There's a difference. She smiled. Understood. What's next for you? I looked around the room. At the art on the walls. At the artists I'd championed who'd trusted me enough to take a leap. At the space that was mine, really mine, with my name on the lease and my vision in every corner. Next, I said, I build something that can't be taken. Rachel tried to call me a few more times, sent emails, then a letter, paper, envelope, stamp, the whole thing. I read it once. She called me vindictive, said I'd sabotaged her relationship, her business, her life, said a real friend would never do this, said she'd thought she knew me. I wrote back, one line, you did know me. That was your mistake. Marcus sold the Meridian lease at a loss. Last I heard, it's going to be a vegan restaurant. Rachel moved to LA. Someone told me she's working as a consultant now, helping other galleries with business development. The irony isn't lost on me. As for me, Silent Meridian is thriving. We're profitable, small, but profitable. I sleep at night. I look at myself in the mirror and recognize the person looking back. Last month, I got a message from David, my ex. He'd seen the Times article about my new gallery. "I always knew you'd do something amazing," he wrote. "Sorry I wasn't patient enough to see it." I wrote back, "You saw it. You just saw the wrong version of me. The one who was losing herself trying to hold on to someone who didn't deserve her loyalty." Yesterday, a young artist came into the gallery, 22, fresh out of school, portfolio in hand, hope and terror in her eyes. She reminded me of me at that age, of Rachel and me before everything. I looked at her work, really looked, saw the potential buried under inexperience and self-doubt. "These are good," I said, "raw, but good. Come back next week. Bring 10 more pieces. Let's talk about your first show." Her face lit up like the sun. As she left, I thought about the night I stood in that dark hallway, listening to Rachel and Marcus, feeling my world crack apart. I'd thought I was losing everything. Turns out I was just getting started. People ask me sometimes if I miss her, the friendship, the partnership, the way we used to be. I tell them the truth. I miss who I thought she was, but I don't miss who she actually turned out to be, and I definitely don't miss who I was trying to be for her. The $75,000 Marcus paid me? I used it as a security deposit on this space, used his money to build something better than what he tried to steal. Best investment I ever made. Sarah, my lawyer, came to the gallery last week, looked around at the clean white walls, the carefully curated pieces, the small crowd at our latest opening. "You knew," she said. "That day in my office when you said you'd take the buyout, you already knew what you were going to do." "I knew Rachel had forgotten something important," I said. "What?" "That I was the one who built the thing worth stealing, and once she pushed me out, I could just build it again, better this time. Without her." Sarah raised her glass. "To better, I echoed. "And me?" For the first time in 4 years, I laughed, really laughed. Because here's what Marcus and Rachel didn't understand, what they couldn't understand. You can steal a business, you can steal a name, you can even steal a building, but you can't steal the thing that made it matter in the first place. You can't steal relationships built on trust and late nights and believing in someone when nobody else did. You can't steal the respect of artists who remember who saw them first, who championed them when they were nobody. You can't steal the ability to build something from nothing, because that ability was never in the gallery. It was always in me. Rachel wanted Meridian. She got Meridian. A beautiful, empty room in Brooklyn with a lease she can't afford and a reputation that died the day the artists left. I got something better. I got free. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But this wasn't revenge. Revenge is about hurting someone. This was justice. This was rebuilding. This was understanding that sometimes the best response to betrayal isn't fighting back. Sometimes it's walking away and letting them discover exactly what they lost. Marcus's lawyer called one more time, about a month after I hung up on him. Last-ditch effort. "Would you be willing to license the Silent Meridian name to Marcus for his Miami project? He's willing to pay." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Tell Marcus that my name isn't for sale. Not to him, not to anyone. Tell him that some people build things, and other people buy things, and only one of those types will still be standing when the money runs out. That's a no then." "That's a good luck with the vegan restaurant," I said, and hung up. I keep Rachel's last letter in my desk drawer. Not because I want to remember her, because I want to remember me. The version of me who read those words, who felt that anger, and who chose to channel it into something better than bitterness. I read it sometimes when I'm making decisions about the gallery, about which artist to represent, about partnerships, about trust. It reminds me that loyalty is earned, not given. That sometimes the people who know you best are the ones most capable of hurting you, and that the only person you can really trust to protect your dream is yourself. Jules Mora's new show opens next month. It's called Meridian Lines. She says it's about finding true north after losing your way, about the invisible lines that guide us back to ourselves. The centerpiece is a massive painting of 2 women. One holds a compass that points to gold. The other holds a compass that points to true north. They're walking in opposite directions. "Which one are you?" someone asked Jules at the preview. She smiled, and pointed to the woman walking toward true north. "That's Emma," she said. "The other one? That's everyone who mistakes direction for destination." I cried when I saw it. Not sad tears, grateful ones. Because sometimes you don't know what you're capable of until someone tries to take it from you. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is secretly the best thing. Sometimes losing everything is how you find out what you're really made of. And sometimes the person who tries to destroy you gives you the greatest gift, the chance to rebuild yourself into someone stronger, wiser, and completely unstoppable. That's what I learned the night I stood in that dark hallway listening to my best friend betray me. That's what I learned when I walked out of Meridian with $75,000 and a plan. That's what I learned when I opened Silent Meridian and watched Rachel's world crumble. I learned that I didn't need her. I didn't need Marcus. I didn't need their money or their gallery or their validation. I needed me. And once I figured that out, everything else was easy. So when people ask me now about what happened, about the betrayal and the buyout and the comeback, I tell them the truth. Rachel didn't take everything from me. She just took everything I was willing to give. The things that mattered, those were never hers to take. And that's why, 4 years later, I'm still standing. And she's not.